Erik Horne here, and ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is football season. We're here with Bill Rhoden, Jean-Jacques Taylor, Jason Reid, and we are talking preseason NFL, specifically Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders is going to be getting his first NFL start. I don't know if you guys count preseason or not. I'm going to go ahead and count it. He's getting his first NFL start on Friday against the Carolina Panthers in the first game for the Cleveland Browns of the preseason. Let's just start with this, y'all. What do we make of the fact that he is reportedly going to be the starter for the Cleveland Browns? Does it mean anything at all for his prospects of being the starting quarterback or even being on the roster in general? Jason, I want to start with you. How do you feel about Shedeur starting on Friday?
Well, it's an opportunity for him. I mean, usually in the preseason, the last preseason game or the next to last preseason game is really the game that coaches use when they're trying to determine, battles and, the true first team in offense and defense. That's when they get their most work. Usually, teams will run a whole half, or if not a whole half, they'll give those two units time together. So I don't want to read too much into it that he's starting the first preseason game, but it is an opportunity. And given the fact that he's a fifth-round draft choice and he is fourth on the depth chart that the Browns put out, he has to seize every opportunity he gets. And for his sake, I hope he does that.
Well, I think it's
JJT.
I don't make much of it at all, other than much like Jason said, it's an opportunity because Dylan Gabriel's banged up a little bit. Kenny Pickett is banged up. You know what 77-year-old Joe Flacco can do. So there's really only one option at quarterback, and but it doesn't matter how you get your opportunity. What matters is what you do with it. And to me, having seen, I can't tell you how many preseason games for a guy like him in his situation. It's really to me, it's like, do you look like you can play quarterback? Like, I don't care about the stats because the stats are going to be whatever they're going to be. But does the moment look too big for you, or do you look very comfortable? Because, he hadn't had a lot of reps with the guys he's going to be playing with. So there could be some timing issues, but does he command the huddle, and does it look like he belongs out there?
Bill, you're going to be there. You're going to be there on Friday. What do you make of it? How do you feel about it?
Well, that's my first thing. I'm thinking, man, why am I picking up all my stuff and flying down to Charlotte to watch a fourth-string quarterback play? And to me, we kind of joked about this. It's still the Deion, Colorado, Shedeur whole story hangover. Because, even when people said he's fourth on the depth chart, he might get cut or something. I'm like, no, how could they cut Shedeur Sanders? So to me, the exciting thing about this was that we've had all this speculation from the time he was drafted fifth and this and that. So I said, well, that's the great thing about sports. Okay, let's see it. Let's actually see what he does. And I was listening to this brother named Devon Cherry, who I think writes for ClevelandBrowns.com or something. And he was really talking about how whenever Shedeur has come in, he's brought this energy. He's brought this kind of, excitement to the stuff. So, I'm just curious, and as I think you guys pointed out, it's not like this is a hellacious quarterback room. As you pointed out, JJ. I mean, what's the name is 100 years old. Flacco is 100 years old. Kenny Pickett is Kenny Pickett. And Gabriel, I guess, man. I mean, he's what, 4'3" or something. So I'll just be facetious, but it's not the worst quarterback room he can go in. So I guess my long and short is this: I'm just eager to see, as you were saying, JTT, does he look like he belongs?
Now, this much we know. Whatever he does will be blown ridiculously out of proportion.
Good or bad.
I've known Tony Grossi he does something with the Browns.
Right.
He has several different roles. I've known him, probably 30 years. Don't know him well, but I know him.
Right.
And for a guy like that, as experienced as he is, to go ask a fifth round pick who's on the fourth string quarterback, hey, how come you think you're not getting first team reps?
Right.
It's ridiculous because ain't nobody asking Quinn Ewers in Miami, the 7th round pick, How come you're not getting some reps with the first? I mean, it's ridiculous. The things that they ask him and the things that he's had to handle, just in terms of I mean, I don't care what you think he can do. He is a fifth round pick who was drafted behind another quarterback, which means everything he gets, he's just getting scraps, and he got to make the best of the scraps that he gets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this feeds right into the next question. I had an order of this, but let's just skip ahead and get to what I was trying to get to. Are we still drinking the Colorado Kool-Aid here? And by we, I mean me personally. Bill, you're probably in there a little bit. Are we still a little punch drunk from the entire experience of Colorado to where we're not seeing things clearly here? Like JJT said, this guy's a fifth round pick. And regardless of what we think about what he did in Colorado or what his potential can be, the NFL told us what they think of him. He's a fifth round pick and he's fourth on the depth chart. Jason, are we still a little bit in NCAA mode here when it comes to Shedeur Sanders?
I think a lot of people are. I mean, I think that when Bill talked about the whole Dion Shedeur, that aura, the things that they did at Colorado. And let's not, let's give Shedeur his due. Like when Dion went there, I believe that team was 1-10 the year before.
Right.
They had been outscored like something like 30 points a game. I mean, it was a complete disaster. And they went in there and they were respectable. They didn't have a winning record the first year, but they went from 1-10, I believe, to 5-7 or 5-6. And then last year, they made a bowl game. So Shedeur, for whatever he is or he is not in terms of how the NFL views him, he had a successful, and then when you had Jackson State, a highly successful college career. So I think it's natural that there's a group of people out there, a wide group of people who feel like, well, wait a minute, this guy did have success in Colorado, so why is the NFL just writing him off? Now, as we've talked about previously, the NFL game and what happens at Colorado, it's not necessarily the same thing. So the NFL can have a view based on what they want quarterbacks to be able to do. And if they don't see it on film when he was in Colorado, that's just the way it is. But I do think that, I don't know if hangover is the right word, but I do think that there are a group of people who just doubt that the NFL is right about Shedeur Sanders.
Well,
Right.
the thing about it is you're going to always get opportunity at some point. Like, this is just kind of what it is, chance. But at some point during the regular season, he's going to get a chance. Now, the question is, nobody knows what will happen. Could happen this year, could happen next year. But he's going to get a shot to play at some point. Somebody going to get hurt. He's going to get a chance to play. Dak Prescott was supposed to be a developmental quarterback who didn't even know how to take a snap from center because he spent his whole college career taking a shotgun. Tony Romo hurt his back. Kellen Moore broke his leg. Dak Prescott is thrust into opportunity. He took advantage of it, and now $277 trillion later, he's the most discussed quarterback in the league. So Shedeur going to get his opportunity. This is just the first one, but he's going to get another one during the regular season, and how he plays will determine whether he's short-term or long-term.
Right. And you're right, Eric. I mean, if I were to be honest, yeah, they're still, because, I mean, what, JJT, I mean, you wrote a
I've
book.
been drinking it longer than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, you wrote a book, and I remember going down to Jackson State, and so this is all part of this narrative. And we're addicted to the story. I mean, I'd be the first to admit, I'm addicted to the story. And I guess the question is, and the other thing too, I forgot whether you, JJT, or Jay Reid mentioned it. Everything's going to be blown out of proportion. So heaven forbid his first pass is a pick six, and then people say, "Yeah, we told you," on August 9th, August 8th. But I'm addicted to the story. We're all storytellers, and I read some quotes said a good writer will sell out everybody they know because we are addicted to the story, and I'm curious to find out how this story uh, plays out. And you mentioned you mentioned JJ. You kind of took it for granted. He'll be on the roster, and I guess there's some people who suggest, well, what happens if he gets cut? And my thing is, oh man, they couldn't cut. How are they gonna cut Shedeur? And it had that question. That question, Jay Reid, had no reality, no basis in fact. It was all, how can they cut How can they cut Shedeur? How can they cut Billy D. Williams? How can they, So um, I guess I would plead to your question, Eric, about drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't know if I ever drank the Kool-Aid because, again, Shedeur can kind of rub people the wrong way. I mean, just personally, he's not everybody's cup of tea. But I'm just curious to find out how this story is going to either end or continue.
Yeah, and that brings me to the next question of, we're curious about how this is going to end or continue. I just had a long conversation with somebody about explaining the entire Deshaun Watson situation to them, basically in layman's terms, about how the Browns made this whole mess of signing Deshaun to this guaranteed contract, um, and then it turning into the Lamar Jackson situation with the guaranteed money, and how the owners came together and said, we're not doing this again. And how the Browns have basically just, kind of shaped the NFL in a way for the past, 2 or 3 years, which leads me to the Browns question. Our colleague Justin Tinsley wrote a piece that did crazy traffic in the past week about Shedeur Sanders having a Cleveland Browns problem.
Right.
Now, are we still sure that the Browns are the best place for this guy? Because I kind of looked at it like, oh, this is an opportunity, not because necessarily of the Browns, but because of what the quarterback room looked like. This was an opportunity for Shedeur Sanders. But when we're thinking about this, would Shedeur Sanders almost be better off getting cut and getting an opportunity with another team? Or is that just something you just don't want on your resume regardless? Jason, is that something that he wants to avoid? He wants to make this team and try and work it out with the Browns despite their quarterback history?
Yeah, I mean, I think people get cut, and so that's not it's not like it's some black mark if you get cut. You
Like
know,
getting laid off.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, NFL history is full of stories of guys who got cut and went on to have great careers. Now, having said that, Shador came into the league with a lot of baggage
Right.
because of the perception people had about how he carried himself in the pre-draft process. Not all cuts are created equal. If he does get cut, now he's got that baggage on him, not just that he's a player who got cut, but we already thought that the guy was a certain way. Now he's cut. It's just he wants to make the most of this opportunity. Like if he can go in there on Friday night and succeed and do a great job, that'll be a great stepping stone for him. Like he wants to make the most of where he is at right now. Because here's the thing, there's no guarantee if he gets cut he's going to go to some place and have a clean slate, and everybody's going to be okay. We're going to let you compete for this job. I mean, he has a lot of baggage, so no. Whether or not this is the perfect place for him, it's the place he's at, and I think the best course for him is to make it work there.
Yeah, I just think it's bad, and this continues the narrative of his brand. I think it's bad for his brand if he gets cut, because that's not been the prime Shedeur brand. It's always been success, like you said, turning programs, turning programs into gold and all that. And so for him, getting cut would be not on brand. That would be a bad brand. Uh, I guess what we do not know, and I mean, I know, Jason, you've been very clear. You've been very clear and consistent that he is he's a fifth round pick. He's not this first overall. He's not Cam Ward. He's not, And so I guess, and I know, but we've had people equally on Andscape on our site, saying that he got a raw deal. That this was part of some other, whipping the bad Negro in the field kind of thing. And I guess those are all the questions that we're going to see answered. Maybe. I mean, and you're right. That's why I was so intrigued by a, a first start in a preseason game. I mean, when was the last time any of us covered a preseason game? I mean, because but this just because of the hype machine. Uh, I guess in all this, it's almost like in a way, it's kind of like a Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese kind of thing, where it's beyond whether he can play or not. It's some sociology. I mean, Jason, you wrote, the book on black quarterbacks, and
Well, so do you.
yeah, well, we both did. But I guess part of that, our intrigue is how does this fit into the narrative if he was treated poorly because of his quote unquote attitude.
Yeah.
That ain't a good thing. So, but that's the great thing about the sport, man. I mean, and I think you may have made the point when he was drafted so low. If he was all that great, he would not have been slipped to like 5. If he was the best thing since sliced bread, no care who he was, he would have been drafted higher. So we're going to see.
And just to that point, Bill, and I know JJT got to jump in here too. The point I was saying about he's a 5th round pick, he's a 5th round pick because that's where he was picked. If he had, when I look at a guy like a Cam Newton who was trashed before the interview process, they said he was entitled. They said he was phony. They brought up the stealing the laptop in Florida.
Right.
They questioned his intelligence, and he still went number 1 overall to Carolina,
Right.
drafted by an owner who was then run out of the league later so my only point about Shedeur is that if the film dictated that he was a guy who should have gone much higher, I don't care if he had gone into those meetings and basically slapped the owners. Somebody would pick him up. Now could they be wrong about him? Yeah, they could be wrong, and that's what we're going to see.
Right.
Well, I think when you look at Cleveland, you're looking at one of the most dysfunctional franchises in the NFL. I mean, they've had 40 starting quarterbacks since '99. I think the Bears are next with 30. That's bad too, but that's a big old gap. And so I wouldn't judge any quarterback by what they did with a raggedy Rudy Poot organization like the Browns. Now, it's a black mark against your record, so to speak, but just because you don't make it in Cleveland and whatever they do does not mean you can't play. The option we haven't talked about is the Warren Moon option. Maybe it's best for you to go north of the border, where's the passing game.
Do you think he would do that?
I know. See, I don't know. That would be.
I wonder about if he would.
That would be a defeat.
I think so, and here's why. The name of the game is, can I play? So you don't think I can play? Okay, I'm finna go to the north of the border, the Warren Moon route. You can pick a number of guys who do the Doug Flutie route. I'm gonna go up there in a passing game, and I'm gonna put up my numbers, and then I'll show y'all what I did. We are talking about a dude who went to Jackson State. I mean, we sitting up here. Would he go there? I mean, who thought he was going to Jackson State? Yeah, he's with his dad, but don't forget, man, the Sanders are the most strategic family in America. You go up to Canada, you get your Netflix show, you get your own show, your YouTube show, your Amazon show, your whatever show. However many cameras can follow you at once. And you become, the talk of up there. It's not like people not going to cover you up there. Mm-hmm. And so what you want is an opportunity to play and develop. And many people have shown that, okay, if I'm not getting a shot here, well, let me go up there and show what I can do and then come back and get a shot.
Yeah, but JJT, I can't see Shedeur in Saskatchewan,
But pick that spot. Now he gonna be in Toronto or somewhere, Edmonton, not Saskatchewan. That might be that. I mean, even that might be a bit much for them. But the league would like to have that type of attention. They would figure out a nice soft landing spot for you.
This is probably right. This game is probably going to be, again, it's preseason, probably one of the most highly rated preseason games.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Without a doubt.
So
but JJT just, he touched on something else that I think is part of this whole thing about if he were to get cut, Bill talking about the brand too. Part of the thing people have about him, rightly or wrongly, is the whole entertainment machine around him.
Right.
And and I go back to that the thing on the field with Cam Ward months and months ago when they were working out, and he goes up to Cam Ward and he's like, "Hey, let's do a rap song together." And Cam Ward was like, "Nah, man, I want to be known like, what do you do?" He's like, "I'm a football player.
Right.
I want to be known for playing football." Because so I was thinking about that with your point, Bill, about his brand. If he does not make it here in Cleveland, if he doesn't seize the whatever opportunities he gets, that is something people are going to keep going back to. Like, yeah, I think JJT is right now that he mentions that maybe he would go to Canada. But if the entertainment apparatus is the Netflix deal and all that, like it's not just that they don't think he has the greatest arm strength and that he doesn't react well enough or quickly enough. It's also everything that surrounds him. So, you know, I really am curious about this game because this is an opportunity. And you know what? If he goes out there and balls out, it's going to make a lot of people, at least for the moment, pause and think, hey, that was pretty good.
Jay Reid brings up the same point that every other team in the league will bring up, which is why is the 5th round pick 4th-string quarterback doing press conferences? I mean, I've been in a bunch of locker rooms. I can't even name the 4th-string quarterback. I ain't never talked to a 4th-string quarterback.
Right.
I barely talk to the 3rd string. Sometimes talk to the backup.
Right.
And the 5th-string, 4th-string quarterback is having press conferences every week. Now, Shedeur ain't asking to talk to people. People are requesting him.
Right.
So every team knows I don't want my backup quarterback with this much attention. And he's handled the attention very well from the comments I've seen. He hasn't said anything explosive. He's made all the right answers. But the fact remains, you're the 4th-string quarterback having press conferences on a weekly basis. That does not happen in the National Football League.
Yeah, it was insightful or whatever. Someone asked, I guess he told his dad not to come, not to come to camp.
Good move.
And and that's what he says. Well, because I don't want him to, but so if you look at his answer, he said, I don't want him to come when I'm like this and see me like this. Like I want him to come see me at my best. So, I mean, I thought it was a very intriguing answer because it kind of encapsulated his whole dilemma of when, and you've seen a lot, Jay, we've all seen it, when a star comes from college and gets hit with a reality that you ain't the people who are better, bigger, faster. At some point, you kind of have to have that come to Jesus moment when maybe this ain't for you or you've met your Waterloo. And I think that's but you're right. A 5th round quarterback holding press conferences, but that's what it is. I mean, that's why the hell I'm flying to Charlotte.
I mean, but that's the thing in a nutshell.
And hey, that's why you guys need to update y'all's passports because we're gonna be sending one of y'all to Calgary too when he's leading, or we're gonna be sending one of y'all to Toronto where he's leading the Argonauts to the Grey Cup.
Listen, I'm gonna say this right now. If JJT is right, and then we're a long way away from that, obviously, but if he does not make the Browns, and if for some reason he has to go to Canada, I would love to. I mean, I think we should all go up there, to be very honest with you, because there would be. I mean, it would be. Look, it is fascinating. This guy, for whatever anybody wants to say about him, he was a successful college quarterback. Now, that doesn't always translate to the NFL, but he was a successful college quarterback. And if this doesn't work and he does have to go to Canada, that is still a hell of a story, too.
You know what intrigues me, guys, is that for all we're talking, we're not really talking about Travis Hunter, because clearly Travis Hunter was the best player on that team. He was leaps and bounds better than Shedeur, but yet we've not spent 1 minute talking about him, and his thing is just as intriguing in a way. And that can he play both ways and all that, but and I think that's just part of the whole hype. And that gets back to Erik's original question about drinking the Kool-Aid, or are we still on the entrails of the hype? Yeah. And I think that there is a lot of that, and it will probably not be. Maybe it may not be answered until the end of the season.
Yeah,
because we don't know. I mean, what happens if his first play is a 40-yard scramble for a touchdown, or like a slant pass? I mean, come on, man.
The internet will go crazy.
Oh, without a doubt.
And if it's a pick six, the internet's gonna go crazy.
No matter the outcome.
Yeah.
Guys, get those passports updated. I will myself. Next time I see y'all, we will be in Toronto, ready to go. Bring some winter coats, But hey,
I'm down with it.
We will be back. We will be back after Friday's game, after Shedeur shows out or shows not out. Shows something. Whatever he shows, We're going to be right back here talking about it. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to check us out on Andscape.com. Bill's going to be writing off of that game. Check out Justin Tinsley's piece on the Shedeur Sanders having a Cleveland Browns problem. I highly recommend. And we will see y'all later.